Hey neighbor, welcome back to another episode of Rapid Reviews right here on Beyond ARTV. This is the show where I put 60 seconds on the clock and then tear through a collection of new singles and EPs in rapid fire succession. We've got like 16 new ones to talk about for the month of March 2020, so despite the global pandemic, it seems like some artists are still steadily dropping music, and really, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. I mean, we could all use some distractions during the distress, so now I'm gonna quickly talk about a bunch of the good, the bad, and the very, very forgettable. Drop a like on this video to help support the show. YouTube doesn't often seem to prioritize this series since I can't really put everything that I'm covering in the title, and it can make it harder for people to see it in their home feed, so a like goes a long way, or even a share if you're a real MVP. Also, remember that I won't necessarily say the rating out loud for each and every one that I cover, so always keep your eyes on screen since it'll always pop up there. Haim have felt consistently underwhelming to me after their debut album Days Are Gone came out. I love that record. The sister act is clearly talented, but finally, thank God, finally, they're back on track with the open, folky sound of The Steps, a single from their upcoming, now delayed album. Thanks, Corona. Sucks to feel hooked with the single, and now we're all just gonna have to patiently wait for that album to see what Danielle, Esty, and Alana have up their sleeves. In the meantime, tip back a sip of these sweet vocal melodies, fireside guitars, and a whole lot of attitude surrounding unequal parts in a relationship. I'm serving up a healthy 4.5. Go stream this. I was really pleasantly surprised. Love me some Nothing But Thieves, and they dropped the first single from their upcoming, as of yet, unannounced and untitled album recently, Is Everybody Going Crazy? Oh my god, how on the nose and appropriate for our current quarantine times. I'm already starting to feel the cabin fever setting in myself, and it hasn't even been a month. This is not their best song. It's also not at all bad, and I really think it picks up a bit in the back half. The guitar work feels strong as always, so it's not really lacking there. I just thought the vocals could have hit a little bit harder. Connor Mason doesn't have to belt on every track to make it a killer Nothing But Thieves song, but his more apathetic approach paired with sterile drums and forgettable bass combined to make this a slight disappointment. I still don't think there's any reason to worry or doubt about album 3. It should be great whenever it drops later in 2020. Belmont are sort of a pop punk, sort of an alt-rock, sort of a pop band from Chicago, and I think I may have set myself up for failure by hearing their track Overstepping first. That single is literally fucking flawless. It just shocked the hell out of me the first time I heard it, and the outings that followed were not at all consistent. Now, finally in 2020, we have a tight 6-song EP in Reflections. Most of the lyrics seem to revolve around self-hatred, carrying the weight of others, and a bunch of other familiar topics that do kind of get overly redundant. The music is the main thing that keeps my attention, as this is probably the best that they've sounded in a few years. The guitars are wild, which I was really desperately hoping for again, and outside of some of the weird programmed drum moments, their badass drummer kills it on this EP. Key tracks include Hideout, Back and Forth, and Stay Up if you're wondering where to start, but really just give this one a go, bang your head to it a few times, and get back to me with your thoughts. I was expecting a lot more from Demi after the heartbreaking ballad Anyone that debuted at the Grammys, but I Love Me sounds like a Meghan Trainor reject that spews a bunch of phrases about haters and trying to get back on the horse of self-love. I get it, but we've already heard it 1,000 times over. Demi clearly has the talent to make her stances more apparent than this, so a 2 for I Love Me, and a massive no to that bubbly production. Raise your hand if this surprised you. Flowers on a Grave by the British rockers, most known for their 90s grunge hits, are back with a damn good single. One that I had absolutely the worst expectations for when I hit play. Bush had just been at a stalemate since they returned as a band in 2010. I loved a couple of the singles during that time, like The Only Way Out and The Sound of Winter, but my god, their past few albums have been miserably dull. I'll hand it to them here though. Gavin Rossdale must have found a new spark as his lyrics actually stand out, and the jagged guitars rip the entire time. They may not be reinventing themselves, but they're certainly revisiting the better days. The 90s alt-rock haze sounds great on them in a modern setting. Flowers is getting a 4. Lynn Gunn is slowly evolving PVRIS into her own project, and good for her. She clearly carries this band with her voice that is so dignified and unique in many ways, and I also feel that her songwriting does stand out at least in places, so take all the credit you want. Let's just really hope that it translates into a full-length experience being good, because Up to this point, especially if you've seen some of my past Rapid Reviews coverage like the Hallucinations EP, while there's solid tracks, I've never come all the way around to fully loving them. Dead Weight is just as strong as some of the best material on that EP with a rollicking guitar lack and some whiplash synths. My ears are definitely perked up for that full-length album now, and I really hope that this is the one that I will end up loving in full, since up to this point, like I said, outside of the key tracks, I've just felt like they're kinda meh. Thank God this isn't Can't Stop the Feeling Part 2. My mind would not have been able to take that kind of anguish. That song was literally everywhere because of that stupid Trolls movie, but now in 2020, we've got a much groovier good time that doesn't feel directly targeted just to children. SZA is fantastic. Let's just get that praise over with now because y'all should already know how I feel there. And she's as smooth as silk up against this funky bass-driven disco groove. JT has some really enjoyable vocals on the chorus, the music is danceable, and I really can't complain that much at all. I expected more Trolls soundtrack garbage, but instead, here I am giving the other side a 3.5. It's safe to say Heavy Metal Titans Trivium are crushing it with the 2 singles from their upcoming album What the Dead Men Say. We'll start there with a holy shit yes statement from the long-running band. CATASTROPHIST rallies with some insanely impressive drums, threatening riffs, and vocals from Matt that actually reminded me a lot of Chester Bennington's performance on Cross Off with Mark Morton. It's a great track though, it never lost its footing, and I'll give it a strong 4.5. Same score goes to What the Dead Men Say, but for different reasons. Really memorable stuff on this one with some of those quick scale shifts and hooky vocals, and once again, the rhythm section is crushing in a more compact setting. Right around the 2-minute mark, the blasting drums help change the course of the song, plus Matt has some really effective screams during the breakdown. After that, we get this really enticing riff that builds the song back up beautifully. Honestly, the best part of the song for me, I get chills during that section the longer it goes on, so all in all, another phenomenal track, and you know what, instead of the same score, fuck it. Perfect score here, I really don't have any complaints. Imagine, I'm sitting in my office with Hannah, listening to music, and oh, look at that. Brand new track from one of our favorite bands, Wallows. Cue it up, hit play, and slowly but surely, you're vibing even though it's a tad bit different. You hear the weird okay vocal sample, but you shrug it off since the tempo is really hitting a stride by the time the second chorus comes around. Head-bopping bass, effervescent vocals, and light fluttering guitars all enter the mix, but in this state of bliss, not everything is what it seems. Lurking just around the corner are AJR, the most insanely irritating band of our time. And for the 22-second bridge, Wallows are kidnapped and replaced with the horrible pitch-shifted vocals that AJR adores so much. At that point, it feels like the song will never end no matter how much you cringe, and thus the entire listening experience is ruined. Get real, guys. That was so unbelievably unnecessary. It's kind of fine outside of that, but there's no way in hell I'm coming back to this song, and I think you know why. Swing 1, out of the park. Another home run for the rap duo Run the Jewels on Yankee and the Brave episode 4. Swing 2, oh god, that was a half swing at best that never connected with the ball and broke my back in the process. What an extremely weird 1-2 offering for the first 2 singles from RTJ4. They kick it old school for Ooh La La, featuring Greg Nice and legendary producer DJ Premier, but that hook is unbearable. LP drags on the first 30 fucking seconds of the song, Ooh La La, ooh wee wee, over and over again. It's madness. That one gets a 2.5. I'm sorry old school hip hop heads, I know it'll probably appeal to you, but I cannot for the life of me get behind it. Turn the page though and you'll see episode 4, Yankee and the Brave, which really gets the beats on track for a fiery rampage. The lyrics are familiar territory, so maybe a slight disadvantage there if you feel like they're repeating themselves, but for the most part, I'm loving most of this even though it's way too short. Realistically, no one on my channel is requesting this, but this mini review is for me and for my childhood roots. I grew up loving the Dixie Chicks in songs like Wide Open Spaces and Cowboy Take Me Away, and they're actually fucking back. Gaslighter is a solid comeback moment with some clever wordplay, and yeah, not a ton else to add here. I'll definitely be checking out the album that's on the horizon though. Although it could have been a bit bolder with some sort of assertive direction that was clearly their own, I'm still down for the all-girl group The Aces rocking the strong alternative disco sound on Daydream, the lead single from what I assume will be their second album. When My Heart Felt Volcanic was wonderful, and if you never got around to that album, change that. And while this is a step away from that sound in a way, I'm happy to hear that it's not a super mainstream direction, which, for whatever reason, was something that I was worried about, I guess, for album 2. Quick little solar flare guitars shoot off and line the track's backbone, while a sense of funkiness keeps the tempo zipping along with the graceful vocals that make it steer clear of forgettable territory. It's not their best work, but I think a 3.5 sounds just right. Foster the People, well, really mainly just Mark Foster, I think, put out a nice little ode to life during these terrifying times during COVID-19. It noodles on a little bit too long for me, but it's nice. I don't at all have any disdain towards the track. It feels like it has a heart. I think a 3.5 sums this one up perfectly, but the next track I'm about to cover, oh man, it is the opposite of It's Okay to Be Human. OneRepublic are really over here like, oh, we made an uplifting song for everyone during these dark times. Here, have some light for your day, it's gonna be okay. Literally within the week of this song dropping, Better Days is in a fucking Jeep commercial. They literally sold it to advertise cars in that short amount of time because it's that generic. I sincerely hope that was not their intention when recording the song. Like, who can we push this to get some extra cash during the coronavirus pandemic? Because my god, the song sure is milquetoast generic radio filler if I've ever heard it. Brockhampton went viral on TikTok, and Sugar was the song that made all the kids do all the dances that I couldn't give less of a shit about. However, it's nice to see some new fans coming their way, and Dua Lipa, of all people, got featured on a remix of the hit song. How'd that work out? I mean, it's fun, I guess. I'll be honest, I never really saw it as a standout track on Ginger at all, but the slow-mo vocal hook got everyone going crazy, apparently. I don't get it, but I do like Dua's addition for an extra verse here. It's smooth and sassy, and she's honestly probably my favorite mainstream pop star at the moment, so I'm definitely not mad at the collab. I'm left feeling a little bit empty, I guess. Katy Perry revealed her pregnancy in the music video for Never Worn White, one of the singer's best songs in quite some time, especially after that string of incredibly mundane singles she started putting out after the pop smash Never Really Over, which I actually happen to really enjoy. I'm surprised I didn't hear more about this single considering how strong her voice is on the piano ballad and the subject matter with her engagement to Orlando Bloom, her pregnancy and all that stuff, but it kind of felt out of sight, out of mind before I could even blink. Thankfully, I'd made a note to include this on Rapid Reviews or else it might have slipped off my radar too, but I think Katy's earned a solid 4 for this intimate single. Thank you guys so much for watching another installment of Rapid Reviews. If you want to catch up on more of those, there's an entire playlist linked right here, or you can see the last episode right over here. All of my socials can be found in the description. Subscribe if you happen to be new to my channel. Drop a like because it truly does help support this series. Other than that, I will see you soon for more right here on Beyond ARTV.